Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Oh, welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things rugby union. And, yeah, I'm joined again in studio by our good friend, Pity Weep. Pity, where you been now?
Konnichiwa. Watashi no namae wa Piri Wepi desu. I've been in Japan. Been doing some coaching clinics over there for Wellington College, and yeah, it was pretty tough, like just long hours on our feet, but good experience. Enjoyed it.
So, who were you with? Who was over there?
Myself, Nemir Tialara.
Yep.
I had one of our Japanese first 15 players who was part of the translating crew, him and his brother, and also his father to keep us in line.
That's a job nobody wants to be for. So,
yeah,
there's some sort of reciprocal thing you do?
At this stage, we're just trying to encourage them to come across and at this stage, but then hopefully it can be transferred and some of the kids can do
The other way around.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're also joined, thank goodness, by our good friend Jeff Wilson from up north. Jeff, what?
What's wrong with just
Just us two?
Yeah.
Well, we like to mix it up a wee bit. Yeah. So, Jeff, welcome back in, mate.
Oh, look, the most important thing, how's the exchange rate with the yen?
Oh,
I mean, you know,
ooh,
That's actually not too bad.
really?
the pockets are full. That's what you said. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, going there to get paid, that's for sure. I was there to bloody encourage him. Come over.
Oh, look, it's just great to be back, team, and particularly because we have a new favourite in the NPC. Clearly, we have. A new favourite.
He's straight in.
Well, he's already plugging it.
And
He's
they're,
already
the only
plugging.
one, they're the only one that's got a roof, so we're good. We are good. Come on now, let's go. Let's go. I haven't seen Wellington for a couple of weeks. What are they up to?
Oh, I'm
How they
not
going?
actually. I've been assigned a different team.
Oh,
You're
right,
talking about
okay,
the current
sure.
champions. Yeah, the current champions, Jeff. Yeah, okay. At least for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Let's have a look back at some betting from last week. And it was only myself and Surly on last week, so not a lot to really talk about. Surly had a couple of bets. His first one, Otago to win, Canterbury to win, and Taranaki plus 7.5. Oh,
Ouch.
not quite. And then he also just had a single on Taranaki to win by 1-12 at 375. So minus 100 for Surly last week. He's minus 288 and 27 cents for the season. I had one bet. I had Waikato plus 6.5, Hawke's Bay to win, and Canterbury to win. It came out at 377. I was up 277 for the week and up $1,038.58 for this season.
You the man. You the man.
I'll tell you what, that Otago Waikato game, wow, it's just, I can't remember a game like that. Certainly not a playoff game, a game that had so much riding on it. And it had ebbs and flows and back and forth. And it was just a fantastic game to watch. As you say, it's under the roof, so we don't care what the weather's like outside. We're going to get some very, very good footy. So, Jeff, why don't we start? Because that was the first quarterfinal of the weekend. A high-scoring ding-dong battle that relied on a 52-metre penalty with time up on the clock to stop it from going to extra time.
A game full of so many moments. Like, it was, like you say, the momentum shifts back and forward in terms of, you know, each team was just sort of trading punches, and the quality of rugby was really high in terms of skill level. And it was great. And that's the benefit of playing under a roof. I'd say this, with 10 to go, and I saw Dylan Pledger run off the field and Jonah Nareki run off the field, I'm thinking to myself, don't take two of your best off. Please don't do that, because this game's not over, and it clearly wasn't. Because, as we've seen through this competition, 2 tries is nothing in regards to any game. And so all of a sudden there was a momentum shift, and when Waikato scored immediately after those changes, all of a sudden there was 9 minutes to go and there's only 7 points in it. And I had a really sick feeling in my stomach because I've got a feeling where this is going. Now, look, it was a remarkable kick from Cam Miller. I'm actually stoked for the young man because his game this season's come on in leaps and bounds. The one thing that Otago have is they've got a lot of Super Rugby experience in their group, plus some young talent coming through, and they've stayed healthy. That's always been a challenge for them. They've stayed healthy, but look, they've given themselves a shot at it. Being at home again is a massive advantage. Look, I think they're a great chance this weekend. But as a game, you couldn't ask for anything better to start the weekend. But also, I think in terms of a moment for an individual player, really cool.
Pity, if you look at that game, and in particular, the play of the Otago halfback, Dylan Pledger, he scored a couple of tries, but his work around the ruck and maul behind the scrum, he was super for a player who I don't think he has any Super Rugby experience right now, but he just seems to be making strides in big sort of jumps. He would not look out of place in a black jersey. Now I know we've had the All Black squad already named for the Northern Tour, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he was just thrust in there straight away.
Yeah, or even I guess been involved in like Super Rugby squads for next year. Obviously, watching him play, he's been the name that everyone's been hearing every week. Not only on the scoreboard or the stats, but I mean his work ethic around the field as well. I feel like his fitness levels are pretty good. Like he can definitely last 80 minutes, and not only that, he's staying pretty consistent throughout the course of the game. And he's been a pleasure to watch actually this season. Like he's there quick to the breakdown, get rid of the ball. If there's opportunities, he'll have a bit of a snipe. So he picks his moments really well. Whereas some halfbacks like to go for themselves first, and then if their hole's not there, they'll throw it to someone else. But he's actually challenging when he gets his opportunities too. And not only that, he's running the right lines as well.
Pretty, can I ask a question then around that? Do you think he's better off being in the All Blacks 15? Because it's highly likely he'll get named in that versus being the guy who sits at, he's with the All Blacks. Say if had they taken him as their third halfback, he's highly unlikely he would have played. Maybe have got on the bench against Wales, or is he better off going with Jamie? Because I'd be shocked if he's not in the All Blacks 15. And maybe just getting more development there. Is that a better option?
Yeah, I reckon it would be. Yeah. I mean, it's still top level footy, and it's an opportunity for him to understand what it's going to be like against high pressure atmospheres. And I'm not saying that NPC is not the atmosphere is not high pressure or anything like that, but I still think for his development in terms of understanding what it's going to be like on the world stage, that he needs to be in those scenarios where he can work on his game. If it doesn't work out for him, he knows the standard that he needs to get to and to maintain so that he does get an opportunity for next year.
Jeff, how old were you when you made your All Blacks debut?
So I was 19 turning 20, so I turned 20 on the tour when I was there. So, I mean, it's one of those things that if there's a lot to be said for certain positions that you can probably play. And I certainly think it's different to when I played because it wasn't as physical across the park, where now it is as physical across the park. So you need to be really physically. The one thing about him, he's playing a position, though, where, as a small halfback, he doesn't look out of place. He's such a good athlete. He's incredibly quick over the ground. He's certainly hasn't. He wasn't from one of the big schools as well, so around in Dunedin. So he came through the system a little bit. I suppose playing multiple sports. That's what I love about him. I found out he was a very, very good basketballer, and I think that you can attribute that to his really quick feet. But so in terms of, I think he could quite easily have slipped into a role, or he could have slipped into the All Blacks in the fringe. Whereas, I don't think we should rush. I just think we know we've got something pretty special here that can develop through Super Rugby next year. But now the challenge is the Highlanders is about how they go about doing that. And they've got a Folau Fakatava who all of a sudden has recaptured some of his old form for Hawke's Bay. Looked really, really good. I saw him on the weekend against Taranaki in Napier, and all of the things that he's done well in the past, he's continued to do well this season, or rediscovered that form. And the fact that Hawke's Bay don't ask him to kick too much, because that was one of the things that he's not quite as strong as. It's always an element of the game he needs to work on. He's focused on just playing. And I asked him after the game, he's been given a license. And that's what I love about a pledger right now. It's like he's been given a license. He's not playing to a pattern pity. They're not, even some of the little things I love that Pledger does when the scrum screws the wrong way, he recognises that and says, I should go the other way. I forget about the move that's been called. Now the opposition or the opportunity is in a different position. That's what Folau's been given as well. So you'd like to think when they get to the Highlanders next year, those freedoms continue so they can develop their own decision-making, rather than for a long time, I think a lot of it gets quite prescriptive. They seem to be playing with some freedom. And I think that's the most enjoyable part of watching Otago play a bit this year, is they're playing with that. If it's on, have a crack.
It seemed to be building a wee bit of depth now for the Highlanders, certainly on the inside backs you've got Miller, you've got Josh Jacob not coming next year, not being released, which probably is a slight detriment to New Zealand rugby, to be fair. He'd be getting some regular game time down with the Highlanders. So things are starting to look up down the sort of deep south.
Look, it's a hard one because they were looking up this season, but we finished last, and that's the crazy thing is we actually played some really good rugby, and missed out on 3 or 4 games, and that's the difference in this competition of Super Rugby. In pivotal moments late in games, lost them at the very, very end, at the death, and that's for a team like the Highlanders, it's about momentum. But all of a sudden, you're discovering a little bit of talent. You're attracting a little bit more. Look, Miller is now going to be better for his experience this year with Otago, playing in bigger games. I would say that these playoff games, if you look at the squads, they're not far off sort of Super Rugby standard in some ways. In terms of quality. So you start looking at that. You start going, okay, now these players, on the benefit of having 2 or 3 years of being in a professional environment, playing in an NPC competition that's really competitive, they should step up a little bit better in Super Rugby. So look, they're looking up. Also, the fact Jamie, he might have some conversations on tour. There's some players who are, just getting a bit itchy feet wherever they are. What are you up to? You're thinking,
I wouldn't put it past.
The only trouble is there's going to be another roof in the South Island, which is not ideal because we used to be able to say we're the only one with a roof. Now there's, they can do that in Christchurch as of sort of middle of Super Rugby next year. But all in all, I think it's great for rugby down in the South. Look, the South, and look, they won the Ranfurly Shield, had it for a moment. Enthused the public down there. Big crowds to games at Rugby Park. So I think there's been some real positive things happening around the game, no doubt, down south.
Another player for Otago, Pity, who has been putting his hand up for higher honours, Lucas Casey.
I was about to say, Lucas Pledger.
Yes,
it's his brother. Well.
Yeah, it's his brother. Yeah. Lucas Casey, he's been very, very good. One of the form Lucies of the competition. Do we expect to see him in a All Black 15 jersey? Surely, do we?
I don't know. I mean, that's probably one area that we're pretty solid on in terms of players in the 7 area. But I mean, like when you've got someone that actually can stand out and do all the hard work, not only sort of around the breakdown, but also on the offensive side too. I can't see why there's an opportunity why you can't have him as another option. I mean, like they obviously will look at development in terms of what they're looking forward for the next couple World Cups, and if his name's not inked in there at some stage, like in the next year or two, I'm pretty sure he'll be trying to push for later on.
Righty, let's move on to the next quarterfinal.
Oh, I could talk about him for hours if you want. We can just talk about Otago more and more if you'd like.
It's exactly what I'm concerned about.
This is him trying to start very, very early on his team.
Just quickly, and this is the last comment I make. It'll be great if he was learning off of someone like a Dalton Papali'i. Imagine him going on a tour in the All Blacks 15. Dalton hasn't been selected in the All Blacks, but here's a guy who's played, I think, close to 40-odd test matches for the All Blacks and knows what it's like at that next level. I think that would be awesome. I think there's some great ways that we can marry some guys together that, yes, they're going with Jamie, but also they're playing with some guys who have been in and around the All Blacks, and you'll see some positive things happen.
Righty-ho. Okay, let's move on. Bay of Plenty, 27, Tasman 7. Tasman got off to a good start. Te Moifalau looked dangerous. Anytime he had the ball in hand, scored a nice try. But then the Bay of Plenty pack just started to grind into work, and they almost suffocated the Tasman team. You hold a Tasman team to only 7 points. You've done something very, very right, Jeff.
This was a funny season for Tasman because they were really. It felt as though they were inconsistent. Like I sort of looked at their squad and thought, they'd be better across the year, and then they got out to that fast start, and a little bit like Taranaki in the game against Hawke's Bay, they didn't take their opportunities early, and they didn't get reward, and all of a sudden they got the one try, and then that was sort of it, and then Bay of Plenty at home are tough. They really, really are. And I think Bay of Plenty, look, once again, the teams that have a sort of a spine and guys with Super Rugby experience make a huge difference. But this Bay of Plenty team, once again, that forward pack, like you say, they just sort of started to grind things out, and they discovered some defence, and the teams that discovered defence, Hawke's Bay did the same. They went a long way to winning those games. So I thought they were impressive. I didn't pick this one. I had this being a lot closer. I really did.
But if you look at this game, Tasman, and I believe they were up inside the top 3 or 4 prior to the season starting, the top 3 or 4 favourites to win the competition with bookmakers. They made the quarterfinals, but as Jeff said, they were up and down all season. They could be brilliant 1 week, and then the next week, not so good.
Yeah, I feel like, like we said at the start of the season, they're one team to keep an eye on because they're so stacked across the board. But I think it's like when Leicester left and wasn't available, they kind of lost their light and their confidence. Having Havili and that sort of come in and out now and then too, I think that sort of took a toll on them in terms of confidence because couple of your key players in the team to help drive the team down the right ends of the field when you need to make something out of nothing. They were the people that were there to help them get through that. So, yeah, I think they were a bit of a hit and miss after all, considering the stacked team that they had at the start of the season before the campaign started. Everyone had pretty much their eyes on Tasman because of the lineups that they had. So, yeah, it was pretty tough. But in saying that, I mean, Bay of Plenty, they were in the finals last year and they're pushing to go again for this year. And hopefully they can get one up maybe,
They're not the Bay, though, are they? They're not the Bay.
No.
Oh,
not this season. No, they're not.
Not this season.
No.
Not this season.
No.
I agree on the Tasman. It's amazing how someone like not having a Finlay Christie can really affect a team. Like having someone like that with all of his experience and I think he was a big part when we saw, he didn't make the All Blacks initially, and then all of a sudden he comes in and you take someone like that away. And Josh Renton's a good and experienced player, but he's not Finlay Christie, and he's the sort of guy I think at NPC level can be really, really valuable. And the odd player like that, and when you don't have them, like you say, you lose a Lester Whanganuku who was so damaging and he was such a weapon. They just didn't look like the Tasman we've seen for the last 3 or 4 years, and they'll have, reasons for that. But like I say, Bay of Plenty have managed their season really, really well, and they're semi-finalists. It's just a cool story. They're another team that you get a sense that who have been banging on the door, Bay of Plenty, and they just want to knock it down one more time. They want to break through. And it doesn't look as though Kurt Eklund's going to be available though. He took a nasty shot to his jaw. I don't know if you saw that, guys. His massive number of stitches through his mouth. He didn't look in great shape after the game on social. So if he's not there, that could affect him in some way.
Let's move on. We have to, because we're running behind time again. So the third quarter.
How can there be? There's only the three of us.
I know. I'm just,
There's only three, not four.
We spent 4 hours on Otago. That's why. So the third quarterfinal from the weekend saw Hawke's Bay up against Taranaki, and if there was a game that contained a few controversial, or I'm trying to be diplomatic here, a few 50-50 calls, it was certainly here. And I think if there was one team out of the 8 that played last weekend that didn't get the rub of the green, I think you could say it was Taranaki. And I think the scoreline wasn't a true reflection of what actually happened out on the park, Jeff.
Look, I think they were. I don't know if they didn't get the rub of the green, or it just there was moments that went against them. Which, if you go back technically, a lot of them right. The only one I felt was the Adam Lennox try with about 8 or 9 to go. Well, the no try, because I said it was a try. Yes. So it means if I say it's a try, it's a try. I mean, that's a try.
99% of people said it was a try.
Last time I remember the ball was on the line, it was a try. I thought that was a try. But anyway, and they were still down, and they still had to go and score another try to tie that game up. Dominant for 15, 20 minutes to start the game, Taranaki, but got no reward. Hawke's Bay then really steeled up their defence, and when they got on attack, were very, very good. Ill-disciplined, probably the only thing that hurt Hawke's Bay. But in saying that, a lot of those, were incidentals and other. Isaiah Walker-Leawiri, though, he should breathe a sigh of relief. His was just absurd. Absurd. So unnecessary. But look, I think ultimately across the course of the game, one team took the opportunities they had and the other team didn't. Made it clear-cut. In terms of the scoreboard, I think Hawke's Bay are a chance. I really do. They got a good squad. They've got a really experienced squad. Got a kicking game in Zahn Sullivan, which can put teams under pressure. He booms it a long way. With Whakatava playing the way that he's playing, the likes of a Miracle Whailangi in terms of carrying the ball. Flanders is playing really well. This is a pretty solid outfit, man. They're going to go down to Christchurch and give Canterbury a real run for their money.
Yeah, the bookies currently have them as outsiders to win the NPC as well, out at $6. They look very, very attractive at that $6 mark for mine. And they've got the likes of McClutchy, who seems to turn up at the right time. I'm just so impressed with the way that he's gone about the season. Obviously, Whakatava, they really do have a really good spread of experience throughout the team.
And the midfield, Milan and Grigg, they're tough, man. They are physical and tough, carry well. I was really, really impressed. They've sort of got this balance right. I think for years they've just been that team, Peter. Look, like you sort of know, who they are. They try and play good rugby, and particularly at home, they've been very, very good. I just think they're a threat. I just look at them and I like their combination of players. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Pity, Hawke's Bay, they've got a big job this weekend heading down to Canterbury, but their win against Taranaki was very, very good, built on a solid foundation set by that pack.
That's your team, right, Hawke's Bay? Is that the one that you gave yourself?
It was a random draw.
Random.
It was a random draw. We'll get to that soon.
Anyway,
it was a random draw.
No, like Oldie said, when you've got the right players playing top quality footy, makes things a lot easier for the rest of the squad. And when your midfielder aren't so fancy, but they're doing the hard yards, getting over the advantage line, getting good platform to make sure that when the forwards are coming around the corner, they're not having to run backwards to go forward. It sets a good precedence for the way that they want to play the game. But not only that, I mean, the defence side of it, like to hold a team to just penalties, no meat pies is a huge feat, because although there was that one.
Well, they got one.
Yeah,
they got one. They just weren't awarded a try.
It wasn't given. But I mean, like to have that, especially in a playoff a game, isn't easy. and for them to sort of step up, especially in that second half, and play the style of footy that they wanted to play and finally get to execute it with a few, obviously, bumps in the way with ill discipline and things like that. I feel they're definitely going to be a threat for Canterbury this weekend.
Well, I think the interesting part for me, and I don't want to give you, because you're going to talk this team up at some point, Paulie, but what they do with Whakatava, in terms of giving him the license to change direction, to try and find space, attack and run, and their instinctiveness to make sure they support him, the fact he doesn't get isolated. That's the one thing I thought they did really well, is they didn't really turn it over at the breakdown, is that when they did carry and they carried hard or got some momentum going forward, whenever they made a split decision and it got a little bit fractured, their intention and energy to get in support of the ball carrier was really, really good. And that you are going to need that against Canterbury. You're going to have to need that energy, because they've got some guys who are going to be a threat over the ball, as we saw in the quarterfinal against counties. The Canterbury are that side that they will just not go away, even to the point where they'll push the boundaries like every Canterbury team has ever done since the beginning of time. And let's just see who the referee is for that game and see whether or not they're going to actually penalise them for illegal actions. No, that's not entirely fair. But some of it is.
No, you mean that 100%, Jeff. You 100% mean that.
I don't want to lead the referees anywhere they don't want to go. That's fine. If they don't want to go there, that's 100%. But it's this the fact that they are relentless in that part of the game. Let's just put it diplomatically. They're relentless.
Relentless. Okay, well, why don't we have a look at that Canterbury Counties Manukau quarterfinal now? And if you had said to me prior to any of these quarterfinals starting that one game would be, 44-41, and another game would be all tied up 15-all at full time, I would have said that the Otago Waikato game probably would have been the one 15-all tied at half time, and the Counties Canterbury game would have been the 44-41 game. But I guess the conditions didn't quite allow that. There was a strong wind, and we'll get to Pity because he would have played in a number of games where there was a strong wind blowing from one end of the ground to the other. But that's what Canterbury got on the weekend. And, boy, Counties, they took it to them, Jeff, and they weren't that far away.
Yeah, Look, the conditions always can play a part in any game, right? And when you get a wind like that, and we're talking it was blowing a gale. Look, I don't think I can't remember someone trying a 71-metre penalty goal. Like, I've played in some windy. That's not even at altitude. Even at altitude, I would think to myself, give it a crack. But Hawke thinking he kicked from 71 that's optimistic. No matter how strong the wind is, but that's an indication of what you're dealing with in terms of the game. Counties have had a really good year. I think they lost their first four, didn't they? First three or first four games in the competition. And since then, they've been one of the best performing sides. The way they've played the game. They've had some guys come back and played really, really well. Atini Nana Saturo is one of the most dangerous players in the NPC when he's fit and healthy. And we see it in Super Rugby when he's fit and healthy. And I think he brought a lot of that punch. We talked about Tasman and Lester Whanganuku. When you have one player who can make a difference and inspires everybody around them. And they had a great season, and they were very unlucky not to win this game because they created so many opportunities. They just didn't quite finish. And you just need to put Canterbury away. And if you don't, they can come back and get you. And they came back and they got them, And I think we all got the sense. We all got the sense that when it went to extra time, it was always favoured and you're thinking you fired every shot and you haven't managed to get them down, haven't got them done, when everyone outside of a certain province is going for one team, because we all were, let's be honest. And no, don't get me wrong, I was hoping Counties were going to win because the path to a final, if you're winning a title, gets that little bit easier because Canterbury are good. So. Yeah, a great game of footy, and I want to give all the credit in the world to Counties because, they've been a province that's been struggling in some ways in NPC, and in this year they put up their hand. It was impressive.
Pity, you're impressed with how Counties stuck it to Canterbury for a major part of that game.
I think maybe from round 6 on. It's like they've just sort of slowly been building up knowing that their game, they weren't too far on a couple of their games that they lost at the start of the campaign, but building from maybe round 6, I think it was, up to the grand final or quarterfinal. Sorry, not grand final, quarterfinal. I thought that they've sort of been getting better and better. Nano Saturo, he's been massive. He's got a massive boot on him too, which can get them out of trouble. But not only that, his footwork to and put people into space has been huge. But I thought overall, Counties definitely put a lot of pressure on Canterbury. And just that last hurdle. If they had won those moments,
they lost their first 5 games. They lost their first 5 games. So I was just looking. They lost their first 5 games, and then they beat North Harbour, they beat Southland, Auckland, Manukau, and then they beat Tasman to get themselves into the quarterfinal. That's it. That's to turn a season around like that. That's pretty impressive. It really is. To be 0-5 to then make the playoffs and then push the number 1 ranked team. Pretty cool.
Well, I wonder what the odds would have been after 5 rounds to make the 8. That would have been very, very interesting. Right. I've got a question for everyone now. There are only 4 teams left in the NPC, and I've randomly drawn a team for each one of us, including Sealy, but he didn't turn up. So we'll start with Jeff. Jeff, you've got drawn Otago. Please make your case as to why Otago will win the NPC.
Well, we're at home to start with, and then there'll be an upset in the other game, which is really helpful. But more importantly, we're starting to talk about we're talking about players like Gilbert. You're talking about Jonah Nariki, when fit, one of the most dangerous players that you have in NPC rugby. Then you've got a first 5 all of a sudden slotting him from 51. You've got the best young halfback that's coming through. You've got an All Black playing at number 8 that they don't seem to want anymore, but he had 3 games against France, and he was outstanding. Then you got Casey coming through as a potential All Black of the future, a platform that they've had no problem standing up to anyone in this competition. And then they're playing their game. Sometimes it's about destiny, gentlemen. In 1998, when we rose and held up the New Zealand Cup, that's what it was back then. It might have been the New Zealand Trophy. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, when we said it happened in Dunedin, it can happen again. I have no doubt in this group, because you can see, what's the best thing about this? You can tell they're loving playing their rugby, loving their code in Dunedin, and all of a sudden there's a wave of support. I dare you to come down in Dunedin and beat them. It's not possible. Lift it. Count on it now. Get on it. Get on it right now.
You could have started with me first, because I knew how this was going to go.
Wow. I tell you
what. It's a hell of a sales pitch.
I want to bet on them now. In fact, I might have to change what
actually, you're the only one of us that's allowed to bet on them, because you know how to win. That's what happens. Your punting's good, you can. Pity, stay off them. Don't touch them. Stay away on them. They're not in any of your punts. Nothing.
My team
don't you do it. Don't you do it to me.
My team can win. That I'm supposed to be pitching. I can't go after that. Jesus.
Well, you're going after it. Your team that has been randomly selected for you is Bay of Plenty. Why
after a sales pitch like that?
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Well, look, to be honest, I've spent a bit of time with Wari and also their forwards coach and Pingi Talapitanga. And rumour has it that the boys are battled hard over the campaign, and they're ready to go and rumble up and go back to the finals again. And this time they want to make sure they get the job done. So what they've done is they've had their leadership group. I know we've potentially might lose Kurt Eklund, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be a superhero and find the will to encourage his teammates if he doesn't wear the jersey this weekend for the mighty Bay of Plenty. But they're going to play the percentages, take out all their threats, and pledge you. I mean, all their stars that they've got is pretty much across the board. So we're going to have to take care of them. But they just need to make sure that they take care of our threats too in Bay of Plenty. And I have a feeling this year, Bay of Plenty is going to go all the way.
Okay.
It's not as good as Goldie's. Bloody hell.
Well, yeah, he had heart. He had
he
a
started
connection.
right at the start.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, it's my team. I wore the jersey. Man, you know,
Yeah.
it's
It's a wee bit different.
So who did you draw?
I drew Hawke's Bay, the mighty Magpies, the Bay, and they have that title courtesy of their winner of Bay of Plenty earlier this season. They also picked up some very, very nice wins against both Auckland and Wellington. If you have a look at that lineup that they've got, they have some sensational skill, and they've got that X factor. And the fact that Whakatava has been given that license to play his game. Don't try and cage him. Don't try and give him a whole heap of boundaries. Let him read the game and do what he does best. They've even got a very, very good first 5'8" in McClutchy. Zahn Sullivan has been huge at the back for them. Their wingers, both Low and Formai, they're try scorers. And they're very, very strong as well. And that midfield is as solid a midfield as you'll get in NPC rugby right now. Flanders at the back of the scrum has been sensational as well. This is a very, very good Hawke's Bay Magpie team, and they won't fear heading down to Canterbury to take on the Red and Blacks. And I think that we will see an upset. Jeff's right in one thing. There will be an upset. And as long as Otago do the job, the final will be under a roof down south. So, yep, Hawke's Bay, I think, have every right to be annoyed with the fact the bookies have them as $6 outsiders out of the 4 teams left to win the NPC.
Do you just want to like copy and paste the stuff that we talked about, like Goldie and I, because that's pretty much what you used in your pitch.
Mate, I do that every weekend. What are you on about? Mate, you just take a bit from here, a bit from there. It's called research. You just piece the best of everybody, put it all together, and you sound like, mate, that's how every scholar in the world's done everything in history. Everyone's written a book. Everyone's said it before. I mean, it's just put it together. You know, it's pretty simple. You know,
it's how you make it's how you make a nice stew or
exactly.
Pork bones. A little bit from there, a little bit. Put that in the pot. Yeah.
We don't know everything, eh, Paulie? We don't know everything.
No.
We just got to absorb the information. That's
correct. Be a sponge. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I'd done that when I was coaching. It might have been helpful.
Oh, gee.
So who's doing the other one? Who's doing the last team?
Well, the last one was Surly. He drew Canterbury.
Enough said.
So who's going to do Canterbury?
We'll put it to the punters.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments why Canterbury will win the NPC this season because Sealy's not here. So we need to hear from you as to why they. I mean, they did finish top of the table. Yeah,
just.
They held the shield for a week.
That's an evil laugh. That was an evil laugh.
Bad.
And I'm part of the team that took it off them. I wasn't. There was nothing evil about that. Look, the reason we don't have to talk about Canterbury is because they're Canterbury. That's why we don't have to talk about them. History tells us in the last 10, 15 years they've been the standard, right? So we could sit here and discuss them at depth, but ultimately they've just got a really good side. They've got a good side with experience. They're having to do it without a traditional 10, which is probably the one area. If I was going to say that with Andrew Newstub having to play in that position, he's done a really good job given the fact, playing at this level and having to execute that. I think that was indicative of the game of trying to drive a game when you're not used to doing that. It's pretty hard after playing most of the year at sevens, right? So I thought he's done a really good job there. But they're Canterbury. What do you say? You don't need to say anything. It's the fact they're the standard and everyone else is chasing them.
And you're right. It's they've had that sort of wonderful period where they've had the likes of Merton in the 10 jersey, and then Carter in the 10 jersey, and then Mwanga in the 10 jersey. They've had a long, wonderful stretch of. Are we going back to the 90s now? Late 90s, mid 90s? Since Canterbury, you just looked at the 10, you went, well, there's the All Black 10.
And then they've had guys like a Fergus Burke, for example, I think, who've been in behind, so when they're not available, and that's what's happened at NPC, they've been well and truly good enough to drive a team that's always had depth. They've just had that, you know. So they're just a good side. I mean, they've proven it again this year. Even the games that have been close, they haven't travelled away quite as well from time to time. But look, in saying that, if you look at what's happened their last 3 games, for the last 4 games, really close to Tasman. They lost to Otago, the round for the Shield. Then they drew with Northland away, and then they've had to go to extra time. So you'd say they haven't, they're not the Canterbury that started the season. They're a Canterbury that's having to really work hard to get results, And you wonder whether or not, a couple of extra time games, whether that catches up with them. Because they've got a short turnaround as well, right? After playing on Sunday. So theirs is slightly shorter than Otago's. So, Sunday to Saturday. And so, I think whether or not there has an impact on it, you just don't know.
Okay, let's have a look at the 2 semi-finals for this weekend. And Friday night, we head down south under the roof where Otago take on Bay of Plenty. I can't wait to hear Jeff's response to this. The bookies have Otago outsiders at home in a semi-final, $2.05. Bay of Plenty, $1.72, which means that Otago are 1.5 point underdogs at home. The game total set at 55.5. Jeff, you just let go.
Who's responsible for this?
They're not in this room. I'll give you the tip right now. No.
Are they in the building?
No. Well, sometimes they are. It depends on
the building.
What area?
Definitely a please explain. This is a please explain. I reckon some students can play off their student loans with these sort of odds. There's no doubt. I think you can understand the fact. I mean, Bay of Plenty are a team that have been in this conversation for a long time. They've had a squad that's competed and been in finals and semi-finals and all those sorts of things in recent history. But you've got to go on form right now and in this season. I do find it hard to believe that Otago are underdogs. If you look at their squads in terms of the experience, they should be the favourite going into this game. Being at home, on the wave of, this is a team that's beaten Canterbury away for the Ranfurly Shield. There'll be no tougher assignment in NPC rugby this year. So for them to be the underdog, I'm very, very surprised. The challenge is in front of Bay of Plenty, and look, I know they're a good team, but I think Otago should be favourites. And I think if you've got multis running anywhere team across the weekend, get in here because this is a massive opportunity to double up.
Pity, Otago, outsiders. Do you agree with the bookmakers, or are you also thinking, what are they doing?
Nah, of course. I think they've got it right.
Oh!
That's my team. I've got to support them. If I don't, why do I even?
But you got given that team. Now you need to be voice of reason here. True. Pity. This is not done. You can those loyalties you can put away. Do you honestly think Bay of Plenty are the better team going into this game? Like on
paper,
no.
The season? On paper, no. And also with form, I think Otago out of the 2 was probably the better team and should have obviously the odds in their favour. But I guess the punters probably think different in terms of the experience with Bay of Plenty. I feel like they've been in finals footy before last year. Obviously, they didn't quite get the rewards against Wellington last year, but they're back this year. Hopefully learned from last year's experiences and trying to, I guess, rectify the errors that they made last year. So that's probably why I feel that the punters have gone with Bay of Plenty as the favourites. But if you're looking at on form, I think Otago would probably be the ones that should have been the favourites. But the way that they've been playing with the stand-up players that they've got, and we don't know what the teams are at the moment because they haven't been named. But I'm pretty sure there'll be not much change in terms of the way that Otago is going to select their team.
I think home field advantage is huge here, and that's one of the reasons why I have Otago in my book. I have them favourites to beat Bay of Plenty. If you have a look over those last 4 weeks, Otago have beaten the likes of Taranaki, gone to Canterbury and taken the shield off the red and black. That is a huge, huge achievement. I I just cannot believe. And the team would have grown so much and got so much confidence out of that. They finished the season on a big high. I think they got out of jail against the Waikato team that were boosted by a number of additions to their lineup for that quarterfinal. I just think that this is an Otago team that is just flying high on confidence at the moment. And at home, I think they're going to be just a wee bit too good for Bay of Plenty. I really do like it's. What is it? It's blue and gold against blue and gold. I'm taking the home blue and gold here. The development that I've seen from some of those players throughout the season, that gives them the edge for mine. Really do like Otago. Right. The other semi-final sees Canterbury host Hawke's Bay. Canterbury $1.40, Hawke's Bay $2.90. They're 6.5-point underdogs, the Magpies. And the game total is set at 53.5. Jeff, where are we going?
I want an upset. Clearly, I want an upset. But I think this is. In some ways, I look at this as it's going to be very similar to what we saw last weekend with Canterbury. I think it'll come down to it's going to be close, it's going to be tight. Canterbury have got all sorts of experience at playoff rugby. They just have. They haven't been. Look, they were the number one team. We all thought Canterbury were clear favourites probably halfway through the competition. It's only in the last few weeks you've started to see some cracks. And I think that's why I'm giving Hawke's Bay a shot here, because there have been some cracks where their defence, as much as they haven't been conceding a huge number of points, they've been conceding a lot of line breaks. They've been conceding and been having to scramble a lot, and teams haven't been able to put them away. Whereas I think Hawke's Bay, the one thing I like about them is I see them as being a better finishing team in terms of actually when they get in the right parts of the field, they seem to have a real understanding about how to get the last 5 metres for me, Pity. The last 5 metres against teams has been the hardest for a lot of sides to work out how to get it. They've got enough in terms of their ball carrying ability and then their power and their skill sets to be able to use the edges. And so for me, I just look at them and go, they're a serious threat. I think this is going to be a really hard for close game contest, where points are going to be at a premium after I've seen two defensive teams on the weekend scramble really, really hard. Both scrambled unbelievably to stop both counties and Taranaki score tries. I think we'll get another arm wrestle like that, but that's why I think Hawke's Bay are a shot in this one. 6.5 points, you said, was the point start. I think that's probably fair, given where both teams are going in. But I've just got my gut feeling after being in the Hawke's Bay on the weekend and watching them play and talking to them after the game. I think they get up and and win this game. It's my gut feeling after listening to them and seeing them firsthand, and the fact they looked healthy after that game. Didn't look too banged up. Didn't look as though they were carrying too much.
Pity, you share the same enthusiasm and confidence that Jeff has around the chances of Hawke's Bay upsetting Canterbury this weekend?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think they played against each other in round 4 of the competition, and I don't think Hawke's Bay were quite a well-oiled machine. Whereas now I feel like they're slowly hitting their straps when they need to. I think they've contained Whakatawa for quite some time now, and now that he's sort of been given the opportunity just to play footy, as you would have seen last week on the weekend, it was huge for him. But not only that, I think we talked about it before, the threats that Hawke's Bay have across the board, not just sort of in the back line. They've got threats in the pack as well, in terms of strike power, getting themselves over the advantage line when they need to. And the only thing I think that could undo Hawke's Bay would be their discipline, because Canterbury are the type of team that will just, they'll suffocate you without the ball, they'll suffocate you with the ball till you crack. And sometimes that's a mental, they try and get into your head mentally around some of the stuff around the breakdown, niggly stuff around there, just to try and put you off your game. And that's when they know that they've won, because you've given into all the little things that they've put pressure on you and tried to put you off your game, and it's worked. So my biggest thing for Hawke's Bay would be just to go down there and play footy, stay disciplined, and then when you do get those opportunities, when you get those momentums, momentum shifts, you've got to execute and make sure that you finish it.
Okay, I think it's time for us to move on to a wee bit of punting for the weekend. Once again, we've each got $100 each to spend. I'll just go over the totals as they stand right now.
No, we don't have to.
Steve Devine, minus 925 for the season so far. Goldie, up $165 for the season so far. Pity, minus $1,915 for the season so far. And he's been away for a couple of weeks too, Mike. Surly, minus 288.27 for the season. And what was my one again? Oh, up $1,038.58 for the season. So why don't we head up north to hear from our friend from down south, Jeff. Where's your money going in the quarterfinals of the NPC?
I'm just punching straight $100. Otago onto Hawke's Bay. Pure and simple. Works out the close to $6. Head to head. Head to head.
Yeah, very.
Otago, I just think, for me, if I've got faith in that, I think it can happen. I've just talked about it. I've just like to say, I've got a gut feeling about Hawke's Bay, and I love where Otago are at right now. And I think I can't ignore the 205. I think they're playing at the moment. I'm just happy to put all of the 100. I think it's about 594. It works out at the moment. Whether that's how it ends up, I'll be interested to see how that Otago market ends up by the end of the week. In regards to going into that game. But that's me, real simple, just trying to multiply by 6 here pretty much, see how it plays out. But, I thought about maybe splitting it and going a couple of different ways. Quite easy, just try and double up. But let's go a little bit more aggressive. Go very much like a pity here. It's a swing for the fences. I'd love to know how are you going to get multiple multis in this one, Pity? Because only 2 games. Yours is about a 6 or 7er. There's left field.
Same game. Hey, what are you doing?
I'm going to go with
we go.
a draw at half-time. Just a draw at half-time and Plenty to win. Put a hundy on that.
Wait, hold on. What's that paying? What?
Hold on, what?
But Bay of Plenty to win. No, this is what you want, Jeff. This is what you want.
Yes, please. Thank you, Pity.
Yeah.
I was going to do Hawke's Bay, but I'll just keep it at 1.
Where are they? Where are those?
I'll keep that one. I'll keep that one to myself.
Oh, there it is. So you're taking a draw at halftime and Bay of Plenty to win, which is $21.
Yeah.
$21.
So he's worked out how to cover all of his losses in one bet. That's what he's decided. So how to get back just up 100. Just be up 100. That's good bets. I like it.
Rather than try and be bloody, I want to go with this one, that one, this one. Just do one, mate. Okay, we'll just go with that one.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, I'm going to go. Yeah, I don't want to be boring, but I'm going to be boring. I'm just going to go Otago to win their semi-final at $2.05. Put the whole 100 on. It just seems logical to me.
You're only saying that because you're bloody in 1,000 whatever.
That's what someone's supposed to do. That's actually how the logic says you can get all aggressive. That's fine. He's not chasing. He doesn't have to chase it. And I appreciate it. And I hope you're right. I hope you're 100% right. I really do.
Looking forward. Yep, I'm looking forward to
the same,
There'll be some great rugby this weekend. Right, Jeff, what are you up to this weekend? You heading down under the roof to commentate? What's the deal?
Actually, they've given me the weekend off, which is actually really nice. I'll be working the following weekend. I've got breakdown on Sunday, but what I really love is that this time of the year we've had a whole lot of really great people working on a lot of games across the competition. No, it's awesome. It's been great, and that's one of the great things about NPC is that not only do we see developing players, but we're giving heaps of people a chance to commentate, and so. We've got a couple of different teams going down to do the games, and which is cool, which means I get to sit back and I get to watch and enjoy as a fan this weekend, which is really, really cool. So I'm hoping that Otago get the job done, and next weekend I'm winging my way down to Dunedin for a final. which would be cool, which would be amazing. So look, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a great weekend of rugby, and on Sunday we'll chat it all out in the breakdown. So it should be cool.
Right. Pity, you've probably called more games at Jerry Collins Stadium than actually played games at Jerry Collins Stadium. You wouldn't have gone out there too many times with who? Petone? Wainui?
No, we've done a few preseason games out there too.
Oh, have you?
For NPC, but yeah, probably called more than
Called
played
more?
there.
Yeah.
I went there for
Alrighty.
the first time this year. Actually, it was cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was great. There was like 1,000 points scored at Wellington played Southland.
Oh,
There was no tackling. It was amazing.
What was it, 70 something to 15 or?
Yeah,
Okay.
no. Southland scored about 40. Like, it was absurd.
What? There's no way Southland scored 40. Right.
they do.
Whoa, hold on. You're talking. Hold on, I'm going to go back now. I'm just going to throw this in you. I'm sure.
We're talking.
No, they did.
We're talking Wellington against
Yeah.
Southland.
Yeah.
I was away.
75-19. 75.
Felt like Southland scored more than that.
Oh, yeah. You double the points for Southland when they cross the bloody Cook Strait, don't you? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
yes,
So, Pity,
But,
what are you up to?
I'm actually. It sounds bad, but going to an event called Punch Up in the Par. It's actually a boxing event. So it's not
Where
like
is it?
actually having a scrap.
So run me past it again. What's it called? Punch up in the park.
Punch Up in the Par.
Which par?
Yeah.
Where?
Down at Little River, and out just outside of Christchurch.
Oh, it's down there.
Yeah. So I'm calling it, emceeing it with Melody. So this is going to be interesting because Mel obviously likes
A punch up.
Oh, and that, but have a bit of a yarn. So I don't know if I'm going to get any bloody words in. So yeah, that's what I'm up to this weekend. Go and watch that, and hopefully I can get back to watch my son play Interclub.
Oh,
Oh no, match play. Sorry, match play.
match play. Who for? Is he with Wainui?
Nah, Judgeford.
Oh,
'cause
Judgeford.
It's just around the corner, but it's only between the players from Judgeford anyway.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, good luck.
What are you up to?
I'm heading over to Brisbane later this week, and
Are you going to join the celebrations with the Broncos? Or
yeah, I'm coming in as a consultant. No, just heading over there for a week for a bit of a holiday. So Carl will be running the ship here next week. So it'll be very, very structured, very tight,
very on time.
on time. It will be on time next week. It'll be
Very on time.
very on time. So he'll look after the preview for the big NPC final, which will be under the roof at Otago as the Magpies travel down to take on the Blue and Gold.
Here we go.
Well,
Here
why
we
not?
go.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Okay. It is
is.
possible.
It
Very
is.
possible. Right. Thanks to Jeff for once again joining us here on the Pick and Go. Thanks to my good friend Pretty Wipu for joining us. Thanks to you guys for tuning in and listening. Why don't you send us off with a Japanese farewell?
Arigatou gozaimasu.
What he said.